Have you ever seen a study that claims to measure something like happiness? And you just stop and think, wait, how? How do you possibly put a number on a feeling? It sounds impossible, right? Well, it turns out there's a really fascinating and surprisingly precise way to measure the unmeasurable. So let's break it down. It all boils down to this one fundamental challenge. How do you get from a big, fuzzy, abstract idea to cold, hard data that you can actually analyze? I mean, seriously, think about it for a second. Is your happiness a 7 out of 10 today? And what does a 7 even mean? Is my 7 the same as your 7? It feels completely subjective. But this is the exact puzzle that researchers have to solve every single day. And to get from that kind of fuzzy, subjective feeling to a concrete number they can actually work with, well, they can't just guess. They have a systematic and honestly a pretty clever process to make that translation happen. So this is the name of the game. The entire goal here is to take these abstract concepts and forge them into something real, something tangible, consistent, and, most importantly, something you can actually measure. All right, so how do they actually do it? Let's get into the foundation of this whole process. It all starts with being super specific about what it is you're trying to measure in the first place. Okay, first up, you have to define your concept. Now, that's just a fancy research term for the big idea you want to study. It could be anything, really. Happiness, brand loyalty, stress. You get the picture. It's the starting point. Now, this next step, this is where the magic really happens. You create what's called an operational definition. Think of this as your action plan. It's the very specific, repeatable set of steps or operations you're going to use to actually measure your concept. This is where the idea meets reality. And check this out. Here's the process perfectly in action. On the left, you've got the abstract concept, subjective happiness. But look at the right. The operational definition makes it totally real. It gets incredibly specific, laying out exactly how it will be measured, with 4 very precise questions, each on a 7-point rating scale. And here's the final piece of the puzzle that turns it all into a number. The operational definition clearly states that the final happiness score is just the average of the answers to those 4 questions. And just like that, a feeling becomes a figure. Pretty neat, right? And you know, this powerful 2-step dance, from concept to operational definition, it isn't just for psychology. Nope, it's a universal tool that gets used across pretty much all fields of research. Just take a look here. On the left, that's our happiness example we just walked through. But over on the right, you can see the exact same framework being used for a totally different concept, brand loyalty. The abstract idea of loyalty is operationalized. It's turned into things you can actually count, like repurchase rates or how someone ranks their preference. It's the same process, just a different topic. Okay, so once you've turned your big idea into a concrete plan, there's one more crucial choice you have to make. You've got to pick the right kind of ruler, or in research terms, the right measurement scale. So there are 4 main types of these rulers, and each one is a little more powerful than the last. First, you've got nominal, which is basically just putting things into categories, like male or female, simple. Next is ordinal, which puts things in a specific order, like ranking your favorite movies from best to worst. Then you have interval, where the distance between the numbers is actually meaningful. Think temperature. The jump from 10 to 20 degrees is the same as 20 to 30. But 0 degrees doesn't mean there's no temperature. And finally, you have the most powerful one, the ratio scale. This has a true 0. Think about your age or your bank account. $0 means a real, absolute absence of money. Choosing the right scale is absolutely critical. So why do we go through all this trouble? Why is being so incredibly precise about measurement so important? Well, because pretty much everything depends on it. See, for a measurement to be any good, it has to check 3 really important boxes. It has to be reliable, which means you get the same result over and over again. It has to be valid, meaning you're actually measuring the thing you think you're measuring. And it needs to be sensitive enough to pick up on the small differences that really matter. Because here's the bottom line. You could have the most brilliant study design in the history of the world, but if your core measurement is broken, if your ruler is wrong, then all of your data, all of your conclusions, they are completely worthless. Garbage in, garbage out. And this is not just some academic exercise for people in lab coats. This process is happening all around you, all the time. It's what powers those customer satisfaction surveys that change the products you buy. It's how public policy gets evaluated. It's how we get polling data during elections. It is truly everywhere. So, the next time you see a headline with a statistic, a study that claims people are 20% happier or that brand loyalty is dropping, the very first and most important question you should ask is, how exactly did they measure that?